Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Big League Breakdowns for day 13 of Around the League in 30 days as we catch up with the Royals, who made a surprise postseason appearance last year and are looking to build on that again this season. My name is Tyler Johnson, joined with Will Johnston and Robert Morrison. And
The law
we're
firm
going
of Johnson and Johnson. I'm
to,
coining that.
I know,
A family company.
we've made the joke before, but I just seen it pop up on the graphic, and that's what I thought of. Regardless of that, let's look at that Royals roster projected opening lineup for the 2025 season, and at the top, Jonathan India being the only name in yellow on this list, meaning he was the only offensive acquisition for them this offseason. Bobby Witt Jr., one of the best players in the league in that two spot. Vinny Pasquantino, Salvi Perez still kicking in that four spot. And then down the board, guys like Hunter Renfroe coming back, MJ Melendez, Kyle Lisbell on the bench, and really nothing changing as well. So really what you've seen year for the Royals, you're getting again in 2025. And then looking at the rotation, uh, got guys like Cole Reagans at the top, who I am a big fan of. Seth Lugo back, Michael Wacha back. They were able to keep those guys around. Lorenzen and Bubic. And in the bullpen, Estévez comes in. But again, a lot of the same. Really not too much happening here for the Royals in the offseason in terms of acquiring talent. But they, again, are looking to improve and develop from what they did last year. And with that, we will look at the storylines for the Kansas City Royals, starting with the fact that this is a team that, again, made it to. That's not the right graphic, but that's okay.
It's coming. It's
That,
coming.
All right, we're starting with Bobby Witt.
no, we are not starting with Bobby Wood, although we will talk about him because he is a great player.
The
Um,
graphic says so.
but but
Oh, don't
starting
listen to the graphic. There you
but
go.
starting
Oh,
with the fact that there
in
it
that case,
is.
don't listen to the graphic. I'm going to talk about Bobby Witt.
This is a team that, hey, Will, I'll give you your flowers. You did predict them to do better last year. Did you have them making the playoffs? No, you did not.
God, no.
But they did a lot better than people expected, and they're looking to build on that again. Of course, again, not adding much in the offseason. So, do you think they can develop and become another a playoff team again this year? Excuse me.
Sure.
Good answer. Okay.
Good answer. Moving on. Bobby Witt. No.
No.
Um, I mean, can they? Sure. I mean, they surprised everyone last year. They kept the same group of guys around. It's just seeing how those young guys develop. Jonathan India hopefully will be the leadoff man that they didn't have last year. He wasn't always most effective guy, it seemed like, in Cincinnati, or at least they didn't always stick with him, but he does have good on base numbers, so that might be able to be enough, especially if you have him leading off, gets on base third of the time, and then you got Bobby Witt batting after him.
And you're looking at the subtractions for the team. It's a lot of like older, I don't want to say depth guys, but Adam Frazier, they lose.
Retirement people.
Paul DeYoung. By the way, two of these guys on the list currently on the Pirates now. I love that. Tommy Pham
Ooh,
as
they're
well.
plucking him out of the retirement home.
Yeah, they're plucking him out of Kansas City. So they don't really lose a ton, but I think you did need to get a guy in like India that, maybe for them can be a table setter. It felt like in Cincinnati, he was always like pretty good, and you always thought he was going to take the next step, but he never did. So we'll see if the change of scenery helps him out. And looking at their lineup, I will say the one thing, and I know you're probably going to bring this up, Will, was at the end of the season they really started to struggle on the offensive side, and you look at Vinny Pasquantino, and when he gets injured in August, that's when things started to kind of fall off for them a little bit. He batted 309 in July and 261 in August before he got hurt. And then he goes out, and then that kind of coincides with what happens to, their lineup. They start to really struggle offensively. So, you know, is he kind of, we talk about Bobby Witt, but I mean, this is a guy in Pasquantino who I think deserves his flowers and is going to be a big contributor for them in the next season.
The reason he's effective is that Bobby Witt gets on base a ton in front of him, and so he's did a good job at knocking him in. And it really just showed that the Royals need they just need more RBI producing guys. I know the projections for Zips right now have Salvador Perez at 89 RBI, so it's 2 through 3, give you 89 or higher runs batted in, which is nice. But Perez is getting older. It's amazing he's doing what he is now offensively, honestly. But yeah, the Pasquantino injury showed exactly what happens when the Royals didn't have enough run producers in the lineup. And outside of the top four, things do drop off pretty steadily. I was really hoping that they were going to bring in someone, but I mean, in the end, India does help, but you are asking for either someone else in the bottom half of the order to step up run producing wise, either really I would think Melendez or Massey, but they're probably better off trying to bring in someone via trade at this point. Um, I say at this point, it's spring training. They're going to run with the team. It doesn't matter about the trade deadline. Either you're gonna trade someone away because you guys crap the bed because you thought you could do it with the young guys, and the old Twins came in and went, no, we want our throne back. But but it's really going to be about can the top of the order continue to produce this season as highly as they did last year.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the thing, right? Because you look at the lineup you have at the top India. We'll see what he does, and then it's really those three. It's really Witt, Pasquantino, and Perez, and then 5 through 9. It's like okay, maybe we get some production, but it's a lot of question marks. You got Massey projected right now in that fifth spot. Hunter Renfroe, who at times in his career has been effective, but MJ Melendez, again, another guy. He was okay last year. I think he can certainly develop. Garcia as well. But it's like, again, you look at the stats, it's a big drop off from, Bobby Witt. And I'm not saying that keeping up with the 332 average and 32 home runs is easy, but like the drop off from is insane. I mean, Michael Massey was like a 259 guy, did hit 14 home runs. Hunter, like Renfroe was really down last year, but had 15 home runs. Melendez had 17, but only batted 206. So they, I think, have guys that can potentially they have the tools to make that next step, but they have to round their games a little bit better. Right? And it can't just be, again, the 2 through 4 guys, because as much as it's, you can rely on that for a decent chunk of the season, I feel like they're just going to have other producers step up. And I don't know if this roster currently has it, as you said. I think maybe if come the trade deadline, they're still in the conversation, that maybe they do look to add a piece offensively. But
I think having Hunter Renfroe hurts it too, because it feels like he's just a log jam to have in the outfield one way or the other. Like, I really don't see a purpose for him anymore. I mean, the thing with the Royals was last year, some people thought that the young guys are ready to take the jump, and they did, but they took such a big jump that I almost feel like without really making any adjustments, that you're gonna kind of hold steady with what you got. And so you just gotta hope that pitchers across baseball, after seeing what the Royals did last year, probably have a better idea of how to attack the team. You gotta hope the young guys can adjust. And if they don't, then you risk losing some games that way. And also the team didn't do a lot in the bullpen to really bolster that, which was a weak point last year.
yeah, and I was gonna say, and to transition to that, I mean, they bring in Carlos Estévez, who
Mets
he was.
legend.
Well, I was I was gonna say,
Good,
like,
you picked up on it.
yeah, well, that's exactly what I was gonna get to. Was he was really good with the Angels, then he comes over to the Phillies, and I swear to God, when he came in, was it Game 5? I don't even remember
It
when
was Game 4. It
when
was
he
the last game of this
when
series.
when he came in with whatever it was, the bases loaded. I'm like, he's giving up a home run, like he's doing it, and he literally not only did he
Phillies
give up a home
bullpen was
run.
giving up batting practice that whole
I was gonna
series.
say, not only did he give up a home run, fastball right down the middle. Like it wasn't even. It looked like he was throwing the game, to be honest. But we do know that he does have that potential to be like a special talent in the bullpen. They have Earthseg back there as well, who he was like crazy good for them after coming over for the A's last season. MacArthur is out until about midway through the season, so they lose him. But I kind of like that 1-2 punch back there of Estevez and Ursig. What do you think about those two guys in the back?
I like it. I don't know if Estévez though is really going to be what he was last year, only because last year was such a big difference than what he was the rest of his career. Granted, a lot of his career was in Colorado, and that can only mean bad things. But I mean, even with the Angels the year before, where he was a full time closer, his ERA was in the upper threes, and last year he really cut down on those hits and walks, especially walks. So you hope that that's something that is something he figured out and he can carry over. I'm not going to factor the postseason too much into it because I felt like I've talked at nauseum already pertaining to the Phillies and their postseason thing, and it was just the bullpen in general was bad. It wasn't like he alone was bad while everyone else was good, Kimbrel. So just start laughing, please. Don't hold on me. But I feel like that you can still he'll still be effective, might be closer to threes as a closer, but considering what the Royals had at times last year with the bullpen, it should be good. But not having MacArthur to start the season does hurt.
Yeah, it does hurt, but I do think when he comes back,
Am I
that's a
right in
scary
saying? I
trio.
mean, this might be more just remembering on impulse. Am I right in saying that it was kind of last year the way that, or the story for the Royals bullpen was that when they were winning games, they had confidence in their bullpen because they had a fairly decent back two or three punch. But if it was like any other situation in the game other than high leverage, it was kind of like cross your fingers and pray to God.
Yeah, no, that's what it
And I
was.
don't
Like,
feel like it's that different now, especially
yeah,
to start the season. It's
like
the same bunch. You're gonna get MacArthur back in May or June, but I still feel like it's a little bit of the same old there.
yeah, I think like they let go of a lot of games that like they really shouldn't have, or not that they shouldn't have, but like their bullpen blew up sometimes for like kind of no apparent reason. And you're right. I mean, nothing really does change in that bullpen except for Estevez in and MacArthur out for now. I think that it's kind of tough to assess, and I'll keep saying it, but bullpens are so weird on a year-to-year basis that it's so hard to kind of predict. But I would hope that once they have that trio in place, when you go, to that second half of the season, then that's something you can really rely on. Because again, and you're pretty good as like you're not biased in this as a Phillies fan, but it's easy as a Phillies fan to say, man, Estevez really shit the bed for us in that playoff game when it really mattered. So like, I don't know how he's going to be with the Royals. He was good for a while
Oh,
and was good
he
with the
did fine in
Angels.
Philly, and part
Yeah,
of the reason I think he can still do it in Kansas City is that his time in Philly was his only real shot at. I mean, I think he had a season in Colorado, but it was really his best shot, you could say, at a high leverage or position with a true playoff contender
yeah,
that was
contender.
expected to do a lot. Did he do a lot in the postseason? No, but in the final 2 months that they had him in the regular season, he definitely produced very well. Not quite as good as his numbers were in with the Angels, but I mean enough that I think in that Central with the Royals and their high expectations, he'll be okay.
I mean, I think again, it's just easy to be like recency bias, I think, kills sports sometimes. And like again, as this fan, you can kind of have a bad taste left in your mouth. Again, I'm not even a Phillies fan, but I can clear as day see how middle that pitch was down the plate. But you do have to remember that again, he's had his good stints, and there has been really good clutch situations from him. So I do like the signing. If I'm a Royals fan, am I happy with this offseason? I don't know. I think
No.
definitely want to do more, but the reason I'm posing like this is because they exceeded expectations so much last year, and I think they still have the expectation that hey, now we can be a playoff team, so that's what we should do. But there's definitely probably some lacking, I would say. It just
Yeah, they're like the Orioles. They have a young core, and right now they didn't do anything to help it in the offseason.
I just wonder if the fans are like, hey, like, last year was such a great year, hopefully we can be somewhat in that ballpark because again, that, they they really surprised everybody. Um, Before we get to Bobby Witt, because I know you're so wanting to get to Bobby Witt, We
Don't
just
care.
we just did a the Tigers around the league in 30 days episode, and I feel like obviously same division, but they're in a very similar situation. And win total wise for Pacoda, they do have the Royals higher than them. What are your thoughts on that? Because I don't know. I still personally, maybe there's bias there, but I still would take the Tigers over the Royals at this point.
Tiger's situation, I feel like, is Hinch went very against expectations, you could say, when it came to platoons. Like, they were really strict when it came to you face righties, you face lefties, and sometimes that could mean a player gets pulled in like the third or fourth inning. So that's something that's hard to really judge based on like any type of a projection system, as well as the Tigers' historic rise in the last 2 months of the season. The Royals, at least, were consistent throughout the entire season, other than kind of leveling out a little bit there in the last couple months of the season. So, plus the Royals have a superstar in Bobby Witt to lead the offense, and they have a strong grouping of young pitchers, pretty much 1 through 5. Whereas the Tigers were a bit more 100%. You got the best pitcher, arguably at least the best left-handed pitcher in baseball. And then you had some nice overall, you had nice depth pieces behind it. But aside from Flaherty, no one could guarantee to really give you a great season. And we got some of those great seasons last year for the Royals. So it's easy to see how projections favor them, but um, in this situation, it might be where a manager's impact might end up being the deciding factor. And so someone like Hinch, who did it with the Astros, played the cards almost perfectly. It felt like with the Tigers that they would have a bit of an edge over the Royals, who just didn't do much.
Yeah. All right, now let's actually get to Bobby Witt Jr. Because he is a stud and second in MVP voting last season. Best shortstop in the AL. Don't tell John I said that, but
He is the best shortstop in the AL.
he is the best. I will stand by that. Gunnar Henderson, you're great, but you're no Bobby Witt Jr. And
Step aside. There's a new sheriff in town.
we already talked about it, but he's got to be the catalyst for this team if they want to do anything. So, I mean, I guess yeah. What's your take on what he did in 2024? Can that be replicated in 25 for him?
It seems like he's settling on this 30 home run, 100 RBI line pretty consistently. At least he did that for a couple seasons. So I don't see why he'll live around that in the future. The question is just simply, is he going to be a 280s hitter? Or is he going to be a 320 guy? He had 332 last year with a 389 on base. He's projected by Zips to hit 288 this year. Either way, he's going to be the big guy. And you got to hope that with India in front of him that he can knock him in. If India gets on base roughly with 340 clip kind of predicted for him. And if Bobby Witt can get on base again, he's got great speed. Singles are practically doubles. And then Pasquantino has a shot at getting 90 RBIs again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, he's gonna be he is their guy. He is their machine. They go through him,
I'm
and
the guy.
he is the guy. And you talk about a 5-tool player, that's him.
He needs to do better on defense. Then he's 5-tool.
But he's pretty damn close.
He's got negative
I will say
defensive run save.
before we wrap up, I do have a bold prediction regarding the Royals.
See?
Give me.
Oh.
But no. But it's not about the team. It's for the award. Give me Cole Reagans to win AL Cy Young. I really like Reagans. I
Do. I
do.
just want to call you on more on now.
He finished.
Right. Nah,
He finished
he's
fourth.
he's got
He
a lot
finished
of
fourth
potential.
last year, and Cy Young, and I think
It's just funny
I
to
really
call
like
you
him.
out and then you're right.
I love being right. Who doesn't? But yeah, give me.
Either I'm correct and I get to insult you, or I'm wrong, and it makes for funny content.
It does. And Screwball gonna be tough to beat. But Cole Reagans that's my bold take for the 2025 season. And the Royals.
Looking ahead, is there really, if you're trying to think about like true Cy Young contenders based on recent who was finalist in recent years? I mean,
In the AL?
Screwball and Reagans.
Cole,
could say maybe Cole, but
Crochet.
he's been both injured and his numbers weren't quite as effective. Like I think he's
Yeah.
got more of the low threes ERAs recently.
I mean,
Um,
Crochet, I'll say just because of the like, I know there's still some stats that don't necessarily maybe correlate that he's going to be an
immediately next
ace,
year.
but I'm just putting his name out
Well,
there.
here I'm already going to call it then. Not even this team comeback player, Shane McClanahan.
Oh, God, I forgot about him too. He's coming back. Yeah, so I don't
Watch
know.
out! Here comes Tampa.
There's
With
there's
their
a lot of good
two
AL
runs.
pitchers. I was gonna say there's a lot of good AL pitchers.
They
Cole
have a
Reagan's
fight
gonna
for
have to
the
be
best
special.
left-hander in the American League. You have Screwball, Reagans, and McClanahan,
Yeah, that.
and now
Yeah,
Max Fried's in the mix,
yeah.
and Crochet.
So, yeah, what the hell is happening in the AL? A lot of lefties. Yeah, he's gonna have some big shoes to fill and to get there, but I do love me some Cole Reagans for 2025. So, with that, we will wrap up day, what is it? I say 13? 13 of around the league in 30 days. It's been a long, long day. But you can follow us on Twitter at BL_breakdowns, big league breakdowns everywhere else. Make sure to like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel as we continue our quest to preview all 30 teams in 30 days as we head out west, all the way west to California next time for the Angels. So make sure to join us for that. But until then, we will see you next time.
Fuck your seatbelt.